Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. And this is another addition to our newest series, which we're breaking down each position group in the AFC North and ranking them 1 through 4. So this video, we're focusing on the wide receiver group. So we're going to rank the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens 1 through 4, and we're just talking all the receiving groups. So not just 1 and 2 or 3. We're talking we're going to go at least 5 deep here because most teams keep around 6. So we'll go at least 5 just in case one team goes a little light. So Jimmy, you want to start us off with number 4 on your list?
Sure. So for those of you who have seen our quarterback video and our running back video, if you haven't, go check it out. But if you have, you know that Glenn and I have agreed on each position for both of those position groups, each team ranking.
Yes.
I think I'm going to throw some fireworks at you on this one, Glenn. We might not agree here. The number 4, the worst wide receiver group in the AFC North is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me explain why. Well, I don't need to go too far other than saying that outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, who, of course, because he had, every single person that has ever put on a Steelers uniform played quarterback last year. Outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, they don't have anyone, in my opinion. James Washington is blah. I don't know. It just seems like he can't catch ever since he made the pros. Chase Claypool, who they just drafted, is exciting, but he's unknown. Ryan Switzer, I don't think they utilize him enough. I think he has talent. I don't know if he doesn't get open enough or what the deal is. I think he could be used more. And Deontay Johnson, he's injured and was injured last year. So, I don't think that their wide receiver room is good. I think it is the worst in the AFC North. It's not like they have a really good player and then no depth. They have a number 2 and Juju Smith-Schuster and no depth. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Easy one for me.
I think you're being a little hard on them. Let me just say, all right, try to see how I should phrase it.
Juju's a really good 2. I just don't know if he's a 1.
Yeah. Well, to me, number 4, the worst receiving core in the AFC North, I have to put our Baltimore Ravens. As much as I love our Ravens, as much as the high hopes I have for Hollywood Brown, I'm hoping Miles Boykin can turn it around. Willie Snead is who he is. And then Duvernay and Prochet, obviously we have high hopes for those guys. But until they've done it, I can't put them above really anybody. I mean, our best receiver is Hollywood Brown, and he, I think, had just over 500 yards last season. So I don't know how you can put him or the Ravens core above anybody, really. Now, people say that maybe Juju was kind of exposed last season as to being just a Robin and not a Batman. He's a number 2. He's not a true 1. But I'll say this. We don't really know what Juju's ceiling is as a focal point in the offense until they get a quarterback. And with Big Ben being out so early, I don't think you can give a true judgment on Juju, and especially not James Washington with Mason and Duck Hodges throwing him the ball. I just don't think that they were good enough. Mason Rudolph seemed like he was too afraid to ever throw the ball down the field. And Devlin, while he would throw the ball and attack down the field, he had a host of other issues that were limiting him physically. And I just don't think those two guys were good enough to give a good litmus test for how Juju would do as the number 1 and how James could do stepping in number 2. And then Chase Claypool, he's a guy that he had some questions on his hands. He had some issues there, but man, outside of that, the guy's got incredible speed at his size. And we know how the Steelers do it at developing receivers. So for that reason, I had to put the Steelers at number 3 above the Ravens, as much as I love the Ravens, and I do. But Marquise Brown, to me, is the only one I go into this season going, wow, he's going to be a guy that you really have to account for on the other side of the ball, where I don't know if Like, Willie Snead's not keeping anybody up at night. You know, Devin Duvernay, we have high hopes for him, but we just don't know what he's going to be yet. And Boykin, to be honest, he was kind of a disappointment after he had such a great camp in preseason. So I have to go with the Ravens at number 4, and I have the the Steelers sitting at number 3 in my rankings. Who's your number 3?
Yeah, so our rankings are flip-flopped at 3 and 4. I'm not that much of a homer. I'm not going to put the Ravens over the Bengals or over the Browns as much as I'd love to. But this I will say, the Ravens I think are in my list securely at number 3, simply because I think they drafted better this year at receiver, and like you said, a lot of unknown commodities. But we took some swings, and I think that some of them are going to pay off. The other reason too is that if I had to take the combination right now of Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead, or Juju Smith-Schuster and James Washington, I'm going to take Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead. Maybe it's a preference thing. Maybe, obviously, I've seen them play more. But I think Hollywood definitively showed last year with a screw in his foot that he can be a number 1 and he can carry the load as a number 1. And I understand what you're saying, that Juju kind of gets it's a wash last year because he had 80 quarterbacks. But I want to see him show that he can be a true number 1 and he can carry the load. And I think that right now, I don't think it's crazy to say that Willie Snead is better than James Washington. Neither of them are going to keep, like you said, going to keep you up at night. I just don't think James Washington is that good. I think he was a product of a system at Oklahoma State. Same thing with Rudolph, and the numbers were a little inflated there. So neither of the wide receiver rooms are very good, right? Like, let's be honest. But yeah. I just think that ours has a slight edge. So I'm going to go with Ravens number 3.
All right, and one more thing, just real quickly before we move past this, is as much as I love Hollywood, I don't think his numbers last year showed to me that he can carry the load. I think we're hoping he can, but he only put up 500 yards,
right?
Just over 500 yards. And we look at James Washington as having a stinker of a year last year with some pretty bad quarterback play, and he had 735 yards. So even with the obvious worst quarterback room, he put up better numbers than Hollywood did. And so to me, as much as I project Hollywood to have this breakout year, go over 1,000, all that stuff, he hasn't done it yet. So I got to go with James Washington and Juju at number 3.
Hold on. We can't move on yet because I'm going to rebut that statement that you just gave. I'm not going to let you get the last word and then slide on to the next one.
All right.
Really quickly, how much of that is a product of the fact, think about how many times we ran the ball last year. How many attempts did Hollywood get? What I meant was I think he can carry the load. I absolutely agree with you. Obviously, statistically, it felt like he did a lot more than that. But that's because I think that in the moments that were important, he showed characteristics of a number 1 receiver. For example, we know where the ball's going when Lamar drops back, right? 7 out of 10 times. If it's not,
I think Mark Andrews gets it quite a lot.
Right, so if it's not going to Andrews and it's going outside the numbers, it's only one guy. Right? And he still made plays in those scenarios, I guess is what I was getting at. So I think that some of those numbers are skewed because we broke the league record in pass or in rushing yards.
No, that's a valid point, but also we probably ran a lot more offensive plays than the Steelers did because we had the ball so much.
Yeah.
And so, but look, I'm not necessarily upset that you put the Ravens ahead of the Steelers in that. But to me, I think it's a little premature, but that's just me. But I'm interested to see where you go at 1 and 2 because, man, people might just immediately assume that it's going to be the Browns because of their top 2 guys. But man, when you start looking at that Bengals roster, AJ Green. I think we all remember what A.J. Green is. Monster. Tyler Boyd is a beast, absolute beast. Alden Tate came out of nowhere last year and put the league on notice that although he might not have the big speed, he's got just about everything else. John Ross, talk about big speed. This guy, that's all he's got is big speed. The guy can run like lightning. I think he broke the record for Combine 40 when he came out a couple years ago. And then, then they added T. Higgins to the group, who is a phenomenal player in college at Clemson, a guy that they're hoping kind of turns into the next AJ Green for their franchise. So you look at that 5 right there. I mean, incredible. And then, we all know what the Browns have with Beckham and Landry. And I think a lot of people kind of sleep on Rashard Higgins and what he can do. He's hurt the Ravens in the past. And then they pick up a guy like Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan who has the size and speed. He never really put it together at Michigan, but a very highly rated recruit coming in, and a guy that could, if with the right coaching and the right level of focus, he could turn into being a heck of a player. So I'm interested to see who you got, Jimbo, at number 1 in the AFC North at wide receiver. Who you got?
Sure. So number 1, you laid out my argument right there. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. The reason look, people might call me an Odell Beckham hater, right? Man, I might actually, there might be a little bit of hate in this comment. But, okay, I'm going to say it like this. I'm just as nervous when we're playing A.J. Green as I am when we're playing Odell Beckham.
Oh, I'm more nervous. A.J.'s hurt us more in the past.
Yeah, exactly. So that alone, and if their best receiver is Odell Beckham, look, A.J. right now, when he's healthy, to me, causes just as many problems. So if you add that and say that they're a wash, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Landry is the best number 2, if you will, right? He's more like a 1B, 1A and 1B type guy. But their depth is just insane. I'm referring to the Bengals here. You laid it out. You got John Ross, Auden Tate, T. Higgins, Boyd. I mean, the list doesn't end. Joe Burrows is going to have a field day, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be something else. So, number 1, and I don't think it's close to me, is the Cincinnati Bengals. I know that sounds crazy, like when you think about Odell and Jarvis, but that depth, that room is just insane to me. So, anyway, that's so number 2, of course, is the lowly Browns. Can't be number 1 in anything. Sorry, Browns fans, if you're watching this. You don't have the best wide receiver core in the AFC North.
Wow. To me, I still have the Browns at number 1, and let me tell you why. And it's hard to necessarily disagree with what you said about the Bengals being number 1, and you make a great case. And really, this is a tight battle. So it's not like downgrading the Bengals and what they have. I think they're great, but the reason I put Cleveland ahead of them is because although we predict and project AJ to be the old AJ, we just don't know what he is because he hasn't played in so long. So I can't project AJ to go back to the old AJ. And if he was healthy, then I would agree with you that him and Beckham can almost be a wash between the two. And then you move on from there. But because AJ hasn't played in a year and a half, I got to give that edge to Odell Beckham. And then I have to give the number 2 edge, even though as good as Tyler Boyd is. I mean, Tyler Boyd is one of the most underrated players in the league. But I think Landry's one of the most underrated players. Certainly when he was leaving Miami, I was begging the Ravens to get him because I remember when Landry was leaving, they kept saying, well, his average per catch is so low. His average per catch is this. His average – okay, what does that have to do with him? Do you think he's telling the coaches he wants to run a 4-yard in? Do you think he's telling the coaches he wants to run an 8-yard comeback every play? That's the offense he was in. That's what he was being told. It's not like they were telling him to run a go route and he was breaking it off and running a 7-yard out and telling, it's nonsense. So he showed what happened when he got into an offense that likes to get the ball down the field a little bit more. That his averages go up. It was crazy to me. But so to me, I have to give him the slight edge over Tyler Boyd. And these are slight edges. I mean, this isn't a big margin. But then I look at the depth, and I go, well, I kind of got, number 3, I think a lot of people forget Rashard Higgins. And to me, I don't because I know he gave the Ravens some fits. But I will say this. I think I have to give the edge to Auden Tate in that battle over Higgins, even though I don't think it's, I don't think it's that big of a landslide between the two. But I will give him the edge. And then I have to give the edge to the Bengals again when they talk about 4 or 5. John Ross, to me, as good as he was projected to be, and as much hype as he had with that blazing 40 time, he's never developed. He's never turned into the player that we were thinking he would, and he's always hurt. So I don't really, as good as he is on paper and projected, he never has lived up to that, so I don't really put him. But Higgins to me, so I would say this: I give the edge 1 and 2 to the Browns, and I give the edge depth-wise to the Bengals. But so because of that reason, I have to put the Browns ahead because they're 1 and 2 or better. But it's a razor thin margin between the two, and I certainly understand why you went with the Bengals at number 1.
Well, this is the other thing I wanted to mention. You're absolutely right, and you bring up a good case about AJ's health. But, okay, it's time to be real. If they were in playoff contention last year, you don't think AJ is coming back?
He would have played. He'd have been back by week 8 or so, week 9.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, he is milking that. And I don't blame him. Why would you want to go out there
with Finley as your quarterback?
Yeah, come on, man. And you got this first-year coach who you don't even know. Like, what? Who are you, dude? Like, what are your credentials? I don't know. I just feel like if they were in contention, it would have been a different story. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think that you're a little more concerned about the health portion of it than I am. I think he'll be fine when he comes back. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. So, guys, Glenn has it a little differently than me. Give your order from 1 through 4 again.
I have the Browns, then Bengals, then Steelers, and Ravens bringing up the rear.
Oh, caboose.
Yep.
So I have it Bengals 1, Browns 2, Ravens 3, Steelers 4. So we have 2 differences there. We flip-flop 3 and 4, and we flip-flop 2 and 1. So let us know who is right, guys. Make sure you subscribe and stay up to date as our series videos keep coming out. Go back and take a look at our quarterback one for the AFC North, and then also our running back positional group breakdown and ranking. And let us know what your thoughts are. Who's right here? I want to know, Glenn. I mean,
it's me.
I already know, but I want to know.
It's me.
Validation is always nice, right?
That's right. That's right.
So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.